Hey, everybody. My name's Tom Davis of Signpost, and I am super excited to sit down with our guest, David Moerman, today. We're here to talk about getting in front of your customers more often, throughout their journey to kind of make that greater impact. David is really kind of an expert on becoming more memorable and how do you get and keep more customers. So, David, can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you work with Jobber as a local business owner, really how you got kind of into the space that you're in? And I've got to ask you, before we kick off, we have a little bit of a tradition where we talk about, what is your favorite topping on a pizza? But I recognize that you're calling in to us from Canada. So we're going to kind of make this a little local. What is that one topping you will never put on poutine?
On poutine, man. Well, as I eat my poutine in my igloo with my polar bears here, with my hockey game on. No, thanks for giving us a hard time, Tom. But for me, I would honestly say, like, my wife calls me the human garbage can. So on my poutine, you can load on literally anything, and there's a 95% chance I'm gonna eat it. So for me,
Okay.
nothing's off limits.
So you've never met a food you don't like?
I would agree with that statement.
All right. I love it, man. Well, tell us a bit about your background. How did you get into the home services industry? You've got a podcast that seems to be pretty successful coaching up entrepreneurs. Again, we're really excited to be chatting with you today. So would love to hear from you. For the people that have never heard your podcast, how did you get to do what you're doing?
Yeah, right on. Well, first off, thanks for having me on. I really try to bring value wherever I speak. So hopefully there can be a gold nugget or two for the listener. But yeah, I actually fell into the home services actually back in my college days, which is going on 12 years now. I was doing a business degree. I met a campus recruiter. He said, "Hey, come run your student painting business. You can make 20 grand in the summer." And I thought that would be amazing. So I ended up doing that 4 years through college. I would learn business in the class, and then I'd go work 8 hours in the field and paint houses all summer. So
Yeah.
that's where I really learned to cut my teeth on, like, how do we work for a homeowner? How do we deliver really quality customer service?
I honestly, I wish I had your campus recruiter, because mine was like, "Do you want to work at this pizza joint for pennies on the dollar?" I'm like, "Yeah, free pizza. That's awesome."
Totally.
So you started off in painting. You did that 4 years in college.
Yep.
And then did you transition from painting into the pressure washing business, or what did that transition look like?
Yeah, so I actually leveled up. It was a franchise at the time. So I ended up moving on with the franchise company, ran the professional painting business for a number of years. But it really came to this point where I was like painting a bunch of houses. I was making good money, but I really wanted to build my own brand. And I really
Sure.
wanted to link in a charitable component with that brand. So about 5 years ago, I said, let's just get it started. And that was the genesis of Revive Washing. I saw a sister niche close by with the pressure washing. We'd work for homeowners. I
Yeah.
love the profitability, the recurring element. And I said, I'm going to go all in on this. So I ran my painting business and washing business separately for 3 years until just 2 years ago. I said, I'm diving full into this washing company. I'm going to put the painting business aside, save my franchise fees I was paying, and I'm going to build my own brand. And so we just turned 5 years old last month here with Revive Washing.
I love it, man. Well, you said you just decided to jump right into it. You wanted to build your brand. So for the sake of Contractor Corner today, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We know that the home services businesses are incredibly competitive. We know it's tough to get your name out there. Homeowners are regularly, inundated with multiple channels of advertising, radio, mail, online, right? They're getting kind of called out all over. It's tough to not only get found in that kind of environment where they're getting bombarded, but nonetheless to kind of remember you so that you're top of mind for that next business, right? So I know that what we're going to do here is kind of talk through some practical ways that local service providers can kind of capture that attention in their market and retain their customers. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about real quick is you called out an interesting stat with even your own personal business with Revive that you're not retaining 100% business, but there's this kind of natural churn to home services. Can you kind of talk about what some of those factors are regarding, folks moving, sales, things along those lines?
Yep. Yeah. So in our business, this is a great question, Tom. In our business, we try to retain 2/3 of our customers. So we want to get them coming back year after year. We can detail the exterior of their house. We're back in the fall to clean out their gutters. And we show up in November and put up all their Christmas lights. We come back in January, take down their Christmas lights. So our best avatar customer, it's not uncommon for our truck to be on their driveway 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 times a year that they're giving us money. So we go for that 2/3 repeat rate. Obviously, there's an element, we're going to have a third of our customers, put the for sale sign on their house and move out to wine country, or downsize, or move to a condo, or whatever the case may be. You're never going to bat 100%, but we really try absolutely surprise and delight our customers every visit, so that we're top of mind for them whenever the next appointment arises, where we need to help them with a problem for their home.
I love that you use that phrase, surprise and delight. I'm going to put that in my back pocket for later in this episode, because I think that is such a huge opportunity for home service providers. But I'm curious, you've gone from this notion of a franchise owner, you are under a franchise brand. You kind of said, screw it, I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to build my own company based on my name and my reputation. What was it like starting that business? How did you get customers, and what was kind of that journey to get them, so that you were getting connected with homeowners that needed your services? Were you advertising? Was it paid referral from old customers? Like what did that look like?
Yeah, so I naturally love marketing of this business. I think it's a common bear trap a lot of home service business owners walk into. Initially, they start throwing big bucks at marketing and think we got to break the bank. I've scaled up my business spending no more than 7% of our overall revenue into marketing, into branding. And quite honestly, it's closer usually to 5%. So anywhere in that 5 to 7% range is what we want to be going after. I'm a huge fan of, we call it neighborhood buzz. So when we get a job in a neighborhood, you've got like-minded neighbors, very nosy, looking out the window. What's going on? They're seeing the wrap truck. They see the sign. They get a flyer on their door, and then they're going to talk to Tom Davis after we did his house. And they're saying, Tom, how did you like the boys over at fill in your company name? And that is, that's our secret sauce, man, is we run trucks in the same neighborhood for a month at a time, just because they're doing every third house. It's not rocket science here. So that's how I got started. Just made my brand famous in these different neighborhoods, which are literally just honey hives of customers.
Are you doing like truck wraps and things, or how do people realize that it's Revival?
Yep. Yeah, I love it, man. First thing we do when we buy a truck, I call my wrap guy. We book in a date for the design. We get roof racks on it, and we're good to go. So for guys getting started, start with the $75 magnet on Vistaprint. That's fine while the funds are tight. But the day you save up $2,000, $3,000, put that money into a truck wrap. We get calls every single week. I see your trucks everywhere. Come give me a quote. So no one here owns a physical store. We're not a kiosk in a mall or a Sport Chek or a Walmart. Your store online is your website, and your physical moving store is your freaking car. So wrap that thing. We've got 7 or 8 of them now, and they're all wrapped up bright blue, driving around, and people see them. So that's money well spent into building your brand.
I love it. We had a guest previously that was with a truck rack company, and they were talking as well about just the visibility and eyeballs. So for those that have been following along at home for the last couple of episodes, the proof is in the pudding. You're hearing it first. It's key to make sure that people are aware of your brand. They've got contact information on the wrap of the truck, right? They know who you are. They're all the same. You are putting your best foot forward to drive that awareness. And then what did you call it? You're driving that neighborhood buzz.
Yep, driving the neighborhood buzz, flyers, signs. Every job we do, we require our crew to drop off 5 flyers to the neighbors. We call them 5-arounds. And on these flyers, it says, hey, we just revived. They fill in the address. We'd love to get a quote for you too. If you do that every job, you should be converting on those. Just drop off 5. I guarantee 1 will call you. We even try push for 10 in some neighborhoods as well, because it just works so good.
Do you ask the homeowner to put like a yard sign in, like revived my home?
Yep, just a small one, man. We call them stake signs. They're little signs. They're little 6x6 signs. We tuck them in the corner of the yard. We ask the homeowner. I would say 9 out of 10 say go for it, and we just politely ask them. Whenever recycling day comes, for us in Canada here, everybody's big up on the environment, so we're not throwing it out. We're recycling it. They'll put it and recycle it after a week or two. So you want to get those people that are walking the dog or going for a walk with their spouse after dinner. They're seeing the clean house and they're seeing the little sign. So just subtle branding, corner of the property.
I love it, man. Okay, so what does engagement look like? I'm walking my dog. I'm seeing the little 6x6 sign. I'm jealous that Bob's house looks a lot better than mine. Grr, you, Bob. What does that engagement look like? Are they reaching out via email? Are they giving you a shout? And how do you kind of walk them through this journey?
Yep. Yeah. So we're big on customer journey. We use a tool called Jobber, which is our software provider. I really call it the brain of our business because it runs the back end and makes my life as a business owner a lot easier.
Okay.
My team loves it as well. But basically what will happen, we push people one of two ways. Call into our office number is one, or very simply go on our website and get a quote. We try to respond to people right away. I read a stat that if a customer reaches out to, say, 3 places to get a bid, the outfit that calls them back the quickest wins the job 78% of the time. I read that in a book maybe a year ago, so the stats might have changed. But if you can jump on that right away and call them, if they don't pick up, leave a message. If not, send them a quick email. But when you get someone jumping on it so quick and communicating, it sets the bar so high that this is how the relationship's going to roll. There's no ghosting. Waiting 24 hours for a rep to get back with you is literally laughable today. It should say a rep will be reaching out within 24 minutes, that level of immediacy. So that's something we do right off the top. They can call, they can email. We don't really care. Go on our website. Our team in our office is trained. That's how we measure success, is in responsiveness.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's this whole notion of speed to lead. Are you the first to reach out? How quick can you get back there? And is it a great experience? How do you track them? Is all of that tracked in Jobber itself, or do you use another system for that?
A little bit. Jobber's really good for tracking our operations, but in sales and marketing, we actually custom built our own Google Drive. It's this 6-page document. One of the members on my team, David, is very savvy with numbers and super good on the back end. So we basically took the lead building this, where we track where leads come from, how many we get each day, how that's doing with our bookings. So yeah, we've just built that on Google Drives ourselves internally.
Okay, right on. That's awesome. So let me ask you this. You got the brand out there. You got the 6x6s in the yard. I'm jealous of Bob's yard because, grr you, Bob. I've reached out to you via the phone number that's on that sign. What is that next step in terms of the service component? If we're thinking about something like, pressure washing and cleaning as a service, what do these customers really care about when they're talking with you?
Honestly, people are thinking initially when they start their business, and I did the same thing. It's price, right? And we think we have to be the cheapest to get the work. But
that was my follow-up question is how much do you harp on price? So
we flip the script. We literally say every call, we're not aiming to be the cheapest, we're aiming to be the best. And people are like, okay, straight up to, or right to the fact of our request form on our website. The thing is half a page long. And the last question says, what's the most important thing to you with hiring a home service company? Value, communication, timeliness, professionalism, price. Price is just one of the factors. So I don't want to be bidding if I'm bidding on price, I'm bidding against Squeegee Steve, Bucket Bob, Ladder Larry, all these individual guys driving the van, owner operator, they own a job in their own business, and it's fine to compete against those guys. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to scale up your business, you don't want to do that with being the cheapest price provider. So we flip the script. We talk about perceived value, service. But to answer your question, our customers really care about one thing, and that's what's the level of service and how easy is it for me, the busy professional, to do business with Revive? How easy can you make it? So that's what we obsess over with our company.
I love it, man. So I have always heard, Chuck in a truck, Jan in a van, but I now have Squeegee Steve, Bucket Bob, and Ladder Larry in the repertoire. That is phenomenal. So if anything, I've definitely learned a lot today. So you're not focusing on price. I'm glad to hear that you're really trying to drive that value of what's important to them. What are you doing out of curiosity? You're winning the bid, you're going out there. do you go and bid it up? Are you giving a quote before time? Do you send somebody there? Like, what are you doing to make your company a little bit more memorable so that somebody says, man, I had a great experience with Revival. Ladder Larry was maybe a little bit cheaper, but these guys are just so much more professional. What are you doing to make yourself more memorable there?
Yeah. So, we all know people buy from who they know, like, and trust, right? So we'll bid very small jobs over the phone. If it's, a $300 gutter cleaner and they're not
Sure.
interested in any other services, no problem. Send the quote in.
Yeah.
But I would say 7 out of 10, we send out, we call them our sales consultant. And so we'll send out a sales consultant to meet with you. And literally it all comes down to framing. How we frame that up is we say, Tom, we literally only need 10 minutes of your time. Just to meet our sales consultant is going to be fill in the blank, Landon. Landon's going to come meet you. He literally just needs you for 10 minutes at the start of the appointment, just to tell him what you're looking for so you guys can get on the same page. Then he's going to be able to do his thing and send you a quote. So we set an appointment. There's no ranges here. It's not, the tech will arrive between 8 and 1 p.m. It's literally like, they'll be there at 10. And we're quoting simple services here as well. So, obviously adjust it to your industry, but, we'll do quotes pretty much on the hour, so long as there's not a lot of travel time. So we push for that in-person appointment. We want the homeowner home to meet our sales consultant. We want our homeowner home to meet our crew as well. We're not, we're not so much specialized. We're really good at cleaning, but what we really shine in is that surprise and delight, bringing that high level of service. And you need that homeowner home to be able to deliver that. It's like, would you go to a fancy steakhouse with your wife if there was no waiter, and literally, like, you guys turn up and like the food's like just there? It's like, okay, that the waiter, the waitress brings the experience. Oh, let me show you the fancy wine. Let me scrape your table with the fancy thing and give you your fork to eat your cheese. And like, that's the experience you're paying for.
Sure.
And we're the same way. So if it's just come clean my clean windows, it's kind of like, you're kind of cutting our legs out here. We'll do those jobs, but we really want that customer home we want that relationship, not just this one-time transaction.
So what it sounds like is almost in a way, you're turning this notion of what I have perceived to be the company sales team or customer support people setting expectations with the consumer, saying, we're going to come in and do XYZ. This is what we're going to do. What you're doing is saying, hey, we're going to be effectively guests on your property. What would you like us to do for you? And you allow them to give you their expectations, what they're expecting in terms of the job, the level of detail, the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts. And then that gives your sales consultant, as you called them, that opportunity to then say, great, based on your parameters, here's how I can now better educate you on what's going to happen. And so you're just, I would assume, infinitely times already set up for success for this notion of surprise and delight, because you're literally allowing the customer to give you the playbook of what they want and what they expect, and you just deliver.
Absolutely, man. You nailed it. It's setting expectations. A lot of salespeople do not ask enough questions on that initial appointment. When we go, man, we'll ask 30 questions. What's important to you? Have you ever hired anybody? Are there any areas on your home? Oh, my kid actually naps at 1 to 3 every night, so maybe don't turn the pressure washer on. Okay, great. We'll do the pressure washing first, and then we'll end with the gutter cleanings a lot quieter, whatever it is. So, you got to ask those questions, see what's important to them. Some people are listing their house. They literally just want an in and out clean. They don't really care about a guarantee or anything.
Yeah.
So you got to diagnose the person before you diagnose the problem. And so we're big into asking those questions. And when you send someone in person, man, higher ticket size, higher conversion rate, and also less problems, because I always say there's 2% of customers that will just drive you crazy. And so, the sales consultant's also able to weed those people out and just be like, we're actually not a good fit to work for you, Mary. What you're expecting from us, we actually can't deliver on it. So we very much view our salespeople almost as like sales doctors. They're diagnosing the problem. You go into the doctor and they ask you 10 questions before they try offer, their expertise. So very similar principle.
I love it. So let me ask you this, like, we're talking about diagnosing, this kind of notion of, setting expectations and surprising and delighting. What is kind of a typical communication cadence series? What does that look like throughout the job? Are your jobs traditionally one day? Are they multi-day affairs? Can you kind of walk us through just in general what those touch points are that you have realized are maybe the most necessary versus just to your point, or at least comment earlier, we'll be there from 8 to 1. See ya.
Totally. So our niche is smaller job size, right? We're going to be doing like the $1,000 is a pretty normal ticket size for us to come in and clean someone's home. And a good crew can usually do a couple of those in a day, give or take probably $700 to $1,000 anywhere in there. So it's not like these are multi-day jobs where we're having to really, frame it up every single day. So a lot of it's important on the front end, what the team in the office, what the sales consultant is saying. And then a lot of it rests on the shoulders of the lead technician. Meeting the customer, always the first thing we figure out is why we're actually there, what's important to the customer, and then designing the game plan. But yeah, we're only there for a few hours. So it's a lot of it's in the front end, the lead tech doing the job. And then we do a ton of work on the follow-up as well to try keep that customer and really transition them from a customer into a client. More of this like recurring nature is really what we're after.
So you talk about kind of this like customer journey stuff. What are the tools that you're using to manage the life cycle of the customer? Are you using separate tools to provide estimates and quotes and accept payments, or like kind of what does that suite look like for you as the small business owner in terms of the tools you're using to manage the day-to-day?
Yeah, totally, man. So you need a good CRM. For us, we chose Jobber. We've been super happy with it. So I'm a huge fan of keeping things simple. I say if you can't explain it to a fifth grader, you probably won't be explaining it to me.
Well, let's be honest. The fifth grader is a lot better at technology than we are, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think if your avatar is so stinking busy, like for me, I don't really read emails more than 100 words. It's just quick, quick, quick. You're so busy, on to the next thing. You don't really have a lot of time. So we want to keep things simple. So a jobber, our consultant can do a quote, send it there, customer can sign it. We can get a deposit if needed, all through Jobber.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, if we're doing your house today, Tom, you would have got an email from us yesterday. You'll get a text when the crew's on the way. You'll also get a phone call from the crew if you don't reply to that text when they're on their way. Even if they're running 1 minute late, we're just going to be 2 minutes late, Tom. I just wanted to check that's okay. But most people are like, yeah, like absolutely no problem. So again, just keeping that bar so high. On the closeout, the guys can close the job. Our technicians generally collect at the completion of the job.
Okay.
And then they're getting the paid invoice. And then they move into our client retention stage, which is another chat. But that's kind of how we use Jobber to go from start all the way to finish, keeping things simple, one platform. We've got enough apps, man, on our phone we use as human beings. When you enter in the world of business owner, I get a LinkedIn message every second hour to jump on a quick call to try this demo of this thing I don't need. So it's just like, if it's not imperative, I'm not interested.
Well, I appreciate you calling me out on all of my LinkedIn outreach. If you simply just wanted to hop on a quick call, I would quit bothering you. So I've got two questions for you. One, just for folks listening at home, you use the phrase avatar. You've used it a couple of times now on the call. What does avatar mean? Can you kind of define that for people?
It's I had practiced this yesterday because as my sister and her brother-in-law, they're going on a move. My dad and I were catching up and he's like, you kept saying avatar. What is an avatar? So to make it really simple, I have no idea how the dictionary defines it, but how I would define it is an avatar is your ideal person you want to be working for. So for us, we have an employee avatar. So when I meet somebody in a 10-minute chat, I'm like, this person is exactly who we're looking for.
Perfect.
Client is very similar. A 10-minute chat, I can kind of look around their property. And yeah, these are general principles. You're going to get some people that you're like, this person came out of left field. They have a junky car and a really crappy lawn, yet they want, top of the line service. So they're just general buying behaviors that someone will take that make them an avatar. So, for us, it's like, kids are X amount old, they're dual income, they kind of drive these kind of cars, they vacation to these places. Like they just think very similar. So that's how I define an avatar. So we're very clear on like when we meet with a prospect, they're not the customer for Revive. And we only want to be booking 45-50% of our bids anyways, because much higher than that, we can't be everything to everyone. So
Sure.
almost going to do quotes, man, is saying like, not our client, not our client. Yes, this is our client. The guys would love to work for you, kind of thing. So you don't want to work for everybody.
Got it. Okay. So you're defining at a high level, the avatar is really who your target customer is. And how, what that profile is. So if you haven't thought about that, you're listening at home, take a second, look back at maybe some of your jobs over the last couple of months, and, do any of those folks share common traits? Do they live in similar neighborhoods? Things along those lines. So then, to David's point, you could say, great, we've gone to this neighborhood. This was an ideal client. We've dropped off our 5 brochures so we can try to drive more leads there. And then that way you're just kind of sticking within that same ideal client target base.
Sorry, you can get pretty granular with this too, man. Our ideal avatar is a couple pages long. My wife saw it and was like, this is borderline creepy. Like you're getting into their mindset where they went to school and this. So I drove a little too deep. We had to pull it back a little bit, but the more you know of who you're on earth to serve, it's gonna make your marketing a whole lot easier.
All right. Got it. Be more targeted, be more effective. So I want to take it back to the customer journey that you were chatting about a moment ago. You said, we've got proper expectations. We're communicating, we're managing everything through Jobber. And then at the end of the day, we might move them to this kind of bucketed tier called client retention. So what does ongoing relationships look like for y'all? How do you get that repeat business so that, to your comment earlier on the video, you said you're coming out in the spring to clean up, maybe the fall, you're out in November, December, putting up Christmas lights, you're back again in January. Can you kind of walk us through how you think about client retention? And, are there any takeaways that you've learned in your experience that the folks at home can go ahead and apply to their businesses?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great question. So first off, I would say, like, as a business owner, anytime you get a shiny new customer, it's like a dopamine boost of like, oh, I got a new customer. Like you feel so good, but actually go back to a customer who's already given you money. Like we spend so much money to brand ourselves and do PPC and flyers and signs. Work for someone, the crew goes, they give us money, they write us a review, and then we don't reach out to them again. Like literally as soon as your truck leaves the customer's property, they will forget about you. Like customers have the memory span of like a goldfish. So we got to do our part as business owners to keep retaining this customer, keep going back to them. So for us, at a granular level, what it looks like is we're calling them, I would say minimum 2 times per year. We use a couple of different tools in our toolkit to reach out to customers via phone. We will email them quarterly as well. We do these just before our season gets going, right? So if you see a busy spring rush coming in mid-April, I'd be sending out that customer email early mid-March and say, Mrs. Smith, we'd love to get you back on our schedule before we get smoking busy. Make sure you get a good crew, get your ideal date, get the pool all shined up for your blah, blah, blah. So we'll do that. So we really use our seasonality to our advantage, where there's a spring push, and we always give our clients like a 4-week lead time on the busy season. So you got a spring push. We do a summer promo actually where we slow down in the next month or so. Then we'll do a push for gutter cleaning and then a push for Christmas lights. So very much just mentioning our services. We're not getting on the phone being like, they got to buy now, like buy quick. The sale's good. As soon as I hang up the phone, the sale is gone. Like, it's just like, no, we're literally customer care. Tom, we're just checking in on you. The guys did your windows last spring. Can I get you a quote for gutter cleaning? We know your property. Can I get you a quote? How's that sound, kind of thing?
Right on. And you mentioned just a moment ago, you're like, we did it out. We're getting a review. Are your techs that are on site asking to leave reviews, or do you all leverage software to automate and follow that up? Like, what we have found at Signpost is that some people are unafraid to just point blank ask for the public review. And other people are a little bit more bashful. They're kind of afraid to ask for that public review because somebody has given them their money. And so they've kind of said, well, I gave you my money, so that's kind of my review, right? Like, I trust you to do the job. So, what tools are you guys using to leverage those reviews if you're asking for them? And then, yeah, I'd love to hear that. And then I've got a follow-up question for you.
Yeah, we put a lot of it on our technician scripting, to be honest. I would say if you need help in the review department, look at something like Signpost to make it more automated. I would just be cautious of don't think a company you can like shirk the responsibility. Like your reviews I'll have 100 when I wake up tomorrow morning. Like you gotta program your lead technicians so it all comes into scripting. Again, as soon as we turn up at the door, we've got set scripts that our crews are saying that we really believe are like a secret sauce to getting reviews.
Perfect.
So we really map that out. Mrs. Smith, we want to do such a good job. We want to gain your reviews and referrals. We want to do this, so they're mentioning it so much by the end of the job, so long as the customer's happy. It's
Sure.
the law of reciprocity. Like I get we traded the clean house for money, but also recognize like I'm running a small business. Your positive review will absolutely help me explode this business in the community. Would it be possible if I just texted you over a link? It'll literally take like 60 seconds. Just do me a huge favor. We also incentivize our crews to get reviews. We pay them a bonus
Oh, really?
that they get. We make it a game, man. Every Monday, 8 a.m., first thing we do, safety meeting, we read out the reviews. I don't care if there's 26 reviews. We read every single one and we tie it to each team member. So imagine turning up to work on Monday and you get a tire pump from your boss being like, Lyndon, you had 6 reviews last week. I'm going to read them out in front of all of the guys here. And we hire a lot of athletes. And it's like, man, when you get that tire pump from your coach, you're sitting a little straighter. So reviews are a huge part of how we've grown, and we'll continue to keep pushing it with reviews. They're everything when you get your business started.
I love it, man. That's really cool. I love that you're kind of gamifying it. Like you said, you're hiring some former athletes, the competition's there. I dig it. So I've got kind of just like a last tidbit here. When we're talking about the kind of notion of like the customer retention piece, have you noticed anything from like your cost of continuing doing business? Everything that I've kind of heard through the grapevine is that it's cheaper to maintain your existing customers than it is to effectively get new ones. Do you see anything along those lines? Do you have a dedicated customer support team that then has the follow-up? Does it fall on sales? Can you kind of talk just a little bit more about some of the kind of fundamental processes you have with the customer retention?
Yeah, it's 100% cheaper, Tom, to keep a client. I mean, we've read that in books, heard that on podcasts. I'm living proof. That's why our total marketing brand spend stays south of 7%, is because every year we come in with a base. Like we've got recurring jobs that will recur every so often, but we've also got this base again where we use Jobber. We actually tag certain customers with just a month, which means they want to get a phone call the month of May. So imagine rolling into next April and I have 183 customers that have given me their Visa card. And now I got to just call them and say, I had a note in my book here. Let's get you back on the schedule. Do you prefer morning or afternoon? So our office team's taking the lead on that. We hire a couple of VAs across the world. We buy them a local phone number and they'll make phone calls to our customers as well. So yeah, we're reaching out to customers on the regular. It's way, I don't have a specific stat for your listeners, but it's way cheaper keeping your existing customers, and us knowing we're going to wash 1,000 homes this year. Me knowing that in the next 2 years, I'm going to get 600 of them or so to repeat again is a fantastic feeling as a business owner, knowing this retention. And you might have a listener being like, oh, Dave, easy for you to say. It's like small average job size. Like, what about for me? Like if I'm a house painter, I had a painting company. If you paint a house and you're showing up every summer, you probably didn't do your job right, because you should be going kind of every 7 years. But we did retention for Mrs. Smith. We painted the exterior. I can get you 10% off, put you in my shoulder season. We work for our preferred customers, and I'll give you a quote for interior. How does that sound? So it's not always like you do this one thing and then they don't hear from you. You gotta even leverage like referrals as well, because in the painting game, when you're slinging out $7,000 jobs at a time, what's that worth to you, a referral? So even if you're not getting them on the schedule again, you want that review, you want that referral. We say the job's not done till there's three things: money in the bank, review, referral. That's how you go 3 for 3 on the, and I don't care if you're painting or gutter cleaning or doing a home renovation. I really don't care what the thing is. We're talking more about these like back end business systems.
All right. I dig it. So money, review, referrals. That's the big three, right? All right. So one of the things that we had kind of talked about prior to the call was, obviously this notion of branding and how do you get more involved in your community. And some of the things that you were talking about was, partnering with local organizations, whether they be nonprofit or local fundraising drives or, giving back to the community in some way, form, and shape that is, so that you're not only getting your name out there as a brand, but you're also building up your community. And, my understanding in chatting with you prior is that you've got some passion projects that you're very excited about, that you're pretty invested in, not only from a personal perspective, but from the business. So, would love to hear again what that passion project is for the folks at home, and would love to kind of understand what your journey was to say, okay, great, I've got this business going on. How do I then make a larger mark as a company and leave a legacy?
Yeah, great question, man. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So just cut me off if I go too long-winded. But it all started actually when I was painting in my franchise back in the day. I bought a place. I had paid for school, and I just decided I got to get out of my comfort zone. I was 25 years old. I bought a backpack on Craigslist, and I went to Thailand and Vietnam just by myself for 40 days. Turned off my cell phone. Just wanted to unplug. And what happened on that trip was I ended up on a motorcycle tour through Vietnam, way out in the bush, and saw a village that didn't have clean drinking water, and literally saw firsthand how the poorest of the poor people live. And that was like a 2-hour motorcycle trek into the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And obviously you drive back and stay at your hostel. And so I came back from that trip, and it got me thinking, like, how can I actually, like, I've got these business skills, great. And it was like something just like hit me right in the core of my being for like, how can I live in a very wealthy area in Canada here, this west coast of Vancouver. A small little shack is like, probably $2 million now. So people have a lot of money here. And so I really started thinking on the way back when I got back to Canada, how can I have a brand that like works for these wealthy people, which I know how to paint their house, I can clean their house. But how can I actually connect them to something like deeper and partner with a charity? And so I just started really simply. I said, let's try out a model where we give away 3% of our top line revenue to this charity that I've been partnering with called Hope International. And 3% at the time when your business is doing a small amount of revenue is like, it was nothing really. Like all I wanted to do was save up $1,500 so I could sponsor the project of a well. And every well that we've done brings water to about 40 people. So that first year with Revive, we did 2 water wells, which was awesome, brought water to 80 people. I flew out to Cambodia. I met the people that we sponsored the well with. And, fast forward today, my team and I, we've sponsored 27 of these water wells. And
that's awesome.
Partnering this year, doing a 3 classroom school that we're putting our proceeds into this year. And so, I'm not saying this like, oh, this is so amazing, look at David. Like, no, I think you can look at your business as make it a little bit of a purple unicorn. We're the most expensive in our industry, no doubt about it. But we also pay our people the best, and we do stuff with charity that you got to look as you grow your brand. How are you actually different?
Right.
Are your trucks shiny or this or that? Like, I get all that, but how can you do something deeper? So the fact we're doing things with using water to clean houses, we say we're washing homes locally to bring clean water globally. So it's something that gets me up in the morning. It's very attached to my why, and it's why I started the business back 5 years ago.
I love it, man. Well, that's a great pitch line too, right? It's, like you said, you're going to clean locally and provide water globally. And what a great story, and what a great opportunity for people to kind of share, this wonderful experience that they've had with your brand, because you're setting that customer expectation. You're providing that excellent customer service. You're surprising and delighting in a service that most people might not think to be delighted with, right? And then, as you said, at the end of the day, the job's not done until you get paid, you get the review, and you get the referral. So that's awesome, man. I really appreciate the time, David. We are coming to an end here. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us. Definitely learned a lot about the branding mechanisms, the importance of, those truck wraps, right? Starting off with just a basic magnet from Vistaprint, like you said. And when you get the funds, level up, get that good constant experience across the way. So then as people are driving through the neighborhood and they maybe have a little house envy, they're more willing to give you a shout because they saw what you did for Bob and them. So David, thank you so much again, man. It's been wonderful having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Tom. I'll do this again anytime, and I really hope that the listeners maybe had a takeaway out of it. Great to be on.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
You bet.